Hey, and congratulations on getting access to this video course. We're going to talk about how to turn your idea into a WordPress plugin. Now, we're not really going to talk about hiring anybody or anything like that. We're going to talk about a very crucial process that most people tend to forget about. So a lot of people tend to go from idea to trying to hire a programmer. And that's the wrong way to go about this. And the reason being is because a lot of times, if you do not write your idea and turn that into the necessary project specifications that a programmer would understand, your costs will actually be higher, or you will get a lousy programmer that will say, yes, I can do that. I can program your idea. And then months later, you find out that the programmer doesn't know what they're doing and it's just a mess. So that's the reason why this is a process where we want to take the idea and turn it into a visual flow chart. We want to develop the user interface, and we want to figure out how to communicate that properly to the right programmer. By doing this, you're going to attract the right programmer instead of the wrong programmer. All right. So first things first, this is video number 1, which is the introduction. And I want to start by talking about a goal. The goal here, like I said, is to create project specifications that any programmer will understand. Yes, this process might be a little boring, but it's going to save you a lot of money. Instead of spending thousands of dollars, you could be spending, $500 or even $1,000 in the long run. Instead of wasting time and actually this taking 4 to 5 months to create, you could save time. So this is all about how to save time and money by doing things right. Get this wrong, and like I said, you're going to pay more. You're going to attract low-skilled people that are going to say, yes, I can do anything. And you're not going to know what to do. You're going to say yes, you're going to give in, and you're going to get the wrong person. So I want to make sure that you get this right, and you're going to pay less and attract the right person for this job. So quickly, I want to talk about mindset first. I really want you to focus on how the software solves a problem. Don't focus on how much money am I going to make or how profitable is this going to be. Focus on how the software solves a problem. And yes, that's fine when you're trying to figure out what the software is going to be about. You want to make sure that it's going to be profitable, but at the same time, you want to make sure that it solves a major problem, because that's where your money is going to be. So solution comes first, money will follow later. Now, here's a quick overview of what's inside this video course. Video 1 is obviously this particular video. Video number 2 is going to be researching a profitable plugin idea. So we are going to look at profitable plugins. We're going to look at why they are profitable plugins. So you can get an idea of what your best plugin is going to be. So if you have a plugin, great, you probably could skip this process, but it might be good to watch this so that you have an idea to make sure your plugin is profitable, right? If you don't have an idea, this is a great video for you. Video number 3 is verifying your idea. We're going to make sure that it is indeed profitable. Video number 4, we're going to talk about digging deeper. We want to analyze the situation so that we make sure that we are doing our due diligence. Video number 5 is determining what the software does, which is a crucial part. This is pretty much a make it or break it, because this is the reason why somebody is going to buy your plugin. Video number 6 is list to flow. We're going to take the list that we created in the previous video and we're going to map it out by creating a flow chart. And the reason being is because you want to see it text-wise in a list, you want to see it visually, and you want to see the user interface, which is video number 7. Video number 8 is writing your specifications. So basically the whole goal of this video course is to get to this point. And of course, last but not least, once you have your project WordPress plugin specification in hand, we move on to finding programmers in video 9. Now, I'm not really going to dive too much into this. I really want to focus on how to find the right programmer, what characteristics you should look for. I'm not really going to go to a site and show you how necessarily to hire somebody. That might be a topic for a different day. But what's crucial is what most people forget about is how do you find the right programmer? What to look for in a programmer. So that way you can create the right job post wherever you decide to go. Now let's talk about what you need to get started. Obviously, you're not going to need to have a lot of tools for this particular practice and process, but you're going to need a way to map things out, whether it be a flowchart system or a mind mapping software. We recommend Lucidchart, which is what we're going to be using. However, if you want to use a mind mapping software like Xmind or even a paper, if you are organized, that's fine. But we highly recommend Lucidchart just because it's really, really easy to map things out. And you'll see what I mean when I actually jump right in. And of course, you're going to need to have an open mind. A lot of people come into this thinking that they know a lot, or thinking that, oh, I've got this idea, I just want to jump straight in. No, none of that. You really have to come here with an open mind and with the thought process that, okay, profitability aside, money aside, let's focus on what problem that we are solving. Don't bring any assumptions, because assumptions are very dangerous and they actually get us in trouble because we think we have an idea of how things work. So I want you to come here with an open mind, with the assumption that everything is being start from scratch. All right, so ready? Let's go. Okay, so welcome back. This is video number 2, and we are going to talk about researching profitable plugin ideas. So don't worry about anything else except for getting an idea of what's out there and different ideas that you could potentially create. Now, obviously, if you already have a plugin in mind, you probably could skip this video, but it's a good video to watch just in case you decide to have another idea in the future. So let's do some quick research to show you what plugins are in demand by looking at what we call consumer demand. And that's really what drives whether or not your plugin is going to be profitable or not, whether or not there is a need out there. So there are two ways of doing this. Either there are many plugins out there already and you can look at them and look what's wrong with them and see what people are saying and improve on that, which is actually the easiest way to go about doing this and can be very profitable. Or you can develop your brand new idea, plugin doesn't exist or anything like that. But with that, it's a little bit more time to try to figure out consumer demand, but there are ways of going about doing that. So consumer demand is really, really important here. So I really want to drive that home. All great WordPress plugins are born out of problems that people are facing. So if this is a problem that you're facing, that's great. Then you can associate with that. You know exactly how that feels. If this is a problem that you do not face, but you can research it and figure out how people are feeling about it, what people are doing about it to solve that issue, and how your WordPress plugin can speed the process up, then that's a good thing as well. But you really want to get into the brain of the consumer. So let me go ahead and show you how to find consumer demand through the use of free keyword tools and how to start with Google and research from that point on. Now, before I jump in and start talking about consumer demand or anything like that, I want to talk briefly about what you should be looking for as you're looking for the consumer demand. Now, obviously, when it comes to any type of software or WordPress plugin, what you're trying to look for is you're trying to find some sort of tedious process that takes time, and it's a very manual process. So what I mean by that is something that somebody actually does either on their computer or wherever else, and it's just taking a lot of time. And you have to speed that process up. And they're willing to pay for the ability to speed that process up. All right, so if you look at most WordPress plugins, they basically speed a process up, or they help you in some sort of way. They basically take some process that could take anywhere from a couple hours to a couple days, or even a couple weeks, and it speeds the whole process up, thereby saving you time. That's one of the reasons why most people buy pieces of software, because it automates the process. So as you're looking through for consumer demand, or as you're looking for plugins, you want to find something that is sort of a pain point, meaning it's really frustrating because you have to take all this time to actually do it. All right, so if we head back over to Google here, and if we think about it for just a second, if we think that softwares often are born from frustrations. So you can go to Google and type something like top frustrations and let Google complete it for you, such as top frustrations in life, top frustrations at work, top frustrations in gaming. So you could think about something you enjoy yourself, or something that you have done that takes time on the computer and you want to speed the process up. All right. But usually this process with a WordPress plugin needs to be something that is on your website. So top frustrations related to maybe your website. And then go from there and try to figure out what these top frustrations are. So if you just take some time to just go through the articles, so let's open up these here. And you may or may not find the WordPress plugin that you're looking for, but you're kind of getting an idea of what is happening on the website itself. So we can see like playing Messenger, lacking communication, changes, continuous edits. So maybe you could develop a WordPress plugin around that. Wavering deadlines, time management. You can develop a WordPress time management plugin. You can go through here. We can go to a different article here. So this is Quora, and we see this guy says providing high quality fresh content. Maybe you could develop a plugin that pulls in YouTube videos or content curation to make it so it's easy for people to develop content. Or maybe you can develop something that allows them to create fresh articles really, really fast without plagiarizing, of course. And then we go down and let's look at a different article. What are your top 3 frustrations with your website? Too much content that overwhelm the reader, user design and user experience, directing the user to the right content and workflow. So going through here, what you're looking for is a pattern. If you can see several people saying, I have problems because just finding fresh content is just a big roadblock in my life. If you see tons of people saying that, the next thing you want to do is you want to head on over to wordpress.org/plugins over here. And then you want to type that in. So we could type in something like time management and see what we get. So as we can see, a good amount of plugins, and we can see, if we can see more plugins, that means there is definitely a demand. Now, if you see a lot of plugins, but there's no feedback or ratings or anything like that, that might not be a good sign. But another thing you can do is you can see a lot of times you'll have like a really good plugin, but nobody leaves any reviews, right? So we got 4.5 stars out of 5, 22 reviews. But if you look down on the bottom left-hand corner of these boxes, you can see that 40,000 people installed it. All right, so that definitely shows there is a demand for that plugin. So if we look over here, easy appointments, 3,000 installs, 100,000 installs for events manager. So we can see the demand by looking at wordpress.org/plugins. plugins. But Jetpack here is obviously created by WordPress, so obviously they have 3 million active installs. So that means that 3 million people installed it on their WordPress site. So what you want to do is you want to go through here and find a WordPress plugin that really stands out to you. So let's say we want to click on this one here, and you want to get an idea of what it does. And then you want to take a look at the 1-star ratings. Why 1-star ratings? Because you want to find people's frustrations. You want to see if you can find a pattern. Now, if this WordPress plugin is really good and you're asking, how can I compete with these guys? Well, you can look at the 1-star ratings and see where this plugin falls short. If constantly people are saying this falls short because of this, and this, you can go out and create a WordPress plugin based on that particular shortcoming. And then you come out with it and you know that it's going to sell because you have so many people that are frustrated. Now, obviously, you need to make sure that people are willing to buy for that. And we'll talk more about that later. But that's just a simple process that you can take by going to Google, typing in top frustrations website, or things I hate about my website, or something related to WordPress, and then find those and dig deep into those pain points. You can do the same thing with YouTube. You can do the same thing with Facebook. Use the search bar at the top and find frustrations that people have. So that's a good way to kind of figure out consumer demand in the terms of figuring out how many people are frustrated with the specific problem. And that's really what we're trying to drive home. All right, so let's move on to the next video. Okay, so welcome back. This is video number 3, and we're going to talk about how to verify your idea. So in video number 2, we talked about finding consumer demand, finding the frustration and the pain points, and then figuring out what the problem was. Now let's verify to make sure that it is profitable. So we want to take that research and start spying on software developers that are already doing well. You already saw a glimpse of the active installs and how to figure that out, but we're going to take it one step further. And I want to tell you that not all plugins succeed, and it's easy to want to jump in and just start selling. There are many marketplaces out there that allow you to sell your WordPress plugins. And let's take a look at some of those places and verify your idea. Okay, so what you want to do is head on over to the browser here, and you can go to Google, you can type in WordPress plugin marketplace, but what you're primarily looking for are marketplaces that sell WordPress plugins and people are actually buying them. That's what you're looking for. You're not looking for marketplaces that are giving away free WordPress plugins. You're wanting to make sure that people are willing to pay money for it. Now, you can go through here, decide what you want to go to. That's fine. But in particular, I typically use a site called Envato Market. And in this case, the site is located at codecannon.net. That's codecannon.net. And if you go over here, you're going to be able to go under WordPress and you can see all of the WordPress plugins. So they have everything categorized. You can have add-ons, advertising, auctions, calendars, e-commerce forums, galleries, media, membership sites, newsletters, SEO, and so much more. All right. So you can go through here. You can pick a category if you want. Let's say SEO, or you can simply enter the keyword up here. So if we chose SEO, we can see that there are 65 WordPress SEO plugins. Now, how do we know if it's going to sell or not? All right. So one good indication is with CodeCannon at least, and this might be different with other marketplaces, but you can actually see the amount of sales that they are making. So you can see, for example, this plugin only has 3 sales and is $18. This one's $12, has 4 sales. This one has 29 sales. Now you can filter things out and find ones that are getting the highest ratings, for example, 4 stars and above. So we can see that here. And we can look at the ones that are the top sellers. So we can see this one has about 6,400 sales. This one has 3,700 sales. We can see this one is a kind of a content curator. So this one creates articles. So remember, we looked at the frustration that a lot of people had was, number one, creating content. So we can see that this is definitely matches that research. So we can see that people are willing to pay money for an article rewriter. And this also has really good star ratings, which is a good indication. Now, if we take a look at it, like we said earlier, we can look at the comments, look at the reviews, look at the negative reviews, and get an idea of what people are saying that they're frustrated with in terms of this plugin. And you could go along and make it better. So that's one way of doing it. But I'm just verifying that indeed what we looked at earlier was profitable. All right, so that's a good indication that people are actually buying. All right, so next thing, we could type in time management, which is something that we had searched for previously. Now, when I type this in, if you look to the left, you'll see that it's looking for time management, but also WordPress SEO. So I don't need the WordPress SEO, but I am still looking for top sellers, 4 stars and more, and newest items. So maybe not newest items. I'm just looking for a good indication that something is selling. So time management, we see 9 here that fit that criteria. We can see there's a booking system. For appointment booking, we see there is a freelance, looks like a CRM, content relationship management tool. We can see there's timetable for responsive scheduling. Let's look down here. So as far as time management, it looks like it's just these two here, the booking system and this one here. And we can see that definitely there's a big demand. There's 6,000 sales for that. And there's 4,000 sales with here. So just go here and type the keyword in here and go through the same process that I went through to figure out, is my idea selling? If your idea is not selling, that doesn't mean that it's not going to sell. It just means that it's going to take a longer period of time to have to educate people about the plugin. All right. So now the worst thing that you can do is to go into a market, develop an idea that there's no demand for the market. And if it's a good idea and you really feel like this is something, I've done the consumer demand, it shows there, but nobody's selling this WordPress plugin, then you might be the first person who's actually selling this plugin. And that's not a bad thing. It just means that nobody has paved the way, and you're going to have to pave the way. So you're going to have to educate the market, which can take years. So realistically, it can take several years before you actually start making income, because you're spending all that time trying to educate the market, if that makes sense. But if you find something that is already profitable and build upon the frustrations that people have, these people have already paved the way for you, and having competition is actually a good sign, because people are already educated and they are buying. So with that said, let's move on to the next video.